Welcome, we are back with another episode of Zero to Hero. Tank Edition. We're nearing the end of our journey on Warrior. We're just a few more dungeons away from hitting Keystone Hero. Here's what we're looking like right now. And I've also made some changes to my talents, but we'll get into that later. Let's kick off today's episode with a 10 City of Threads, my least favorite dungeon. Fun fact, I've never timed a 10 City of Threads. No matter what, we always fumble on the bosses. Will today be any different? Let's find out.
Jeez, that took a while to kill. This DK does no damage. I'm actually worried about the other bosses now.
I hate to say I predicted it, but I did. The sheer lack of damage from this DK made the bosses drag on forever. It didn't help that the affix went through, healing the boss back to half HP. We still had a chance to time it, but on the third boss, my positioning was terrible. I was worried about the orbs coming in from behind, but looking back, I should have just pulled the boss away to clear a spot and hoped my teammates finally did the mechanics. But instead, we stayed put and got overwhelmed by the pools, and then Dark Pulse wiped the group. This led to the healer calling it quits.
I don't blame that guy for leaving. He's 630 eye level and only doing this much damage. It is incredible.
I've got to try DPS before the season ends. There's absolutely no way it's this hard. But at the rate we're going, we won't even have time to finish all these tanks. Even though we've not had the best time on City of Threads, I have found some success in Dawnbreaker this season. And I want to share a few tips on tanking certain elites and mob. If you're starting at the front of this building, make sure you have enough rage to precast shield block. If not, you can generate it by charging into the mobs and hitting your combo. But this can cause some problems. Your teammates might pull aggro and cause unnecessary chaos, or they would just straight up die. On higher keys, you'll likely want to pull this elite with a pack. But in pugs, I usually take it into a corner. This way, the knockback doesn't move me at all. A viewer taught me this trick. Landed at the side of the house gives you enough time to generate some rage on the slime, and lets your teammates land safely. But be careful not to land too close, otherwise you'll pull the extra mobs. I also got to test my new disruptive shout talent, which has been amazing for grouping mobs on Warrior. Not having that grab or silence like DK and DH have has always been frustrating, but this talent has an AoE taunt plus an interrupt. Ever since using it, I found a lot of success. Speaking of success, I've never been this good at the guessing game before. I called every single clone without fail, but on the final one I pinged it, but my rogue pinged another one, and guess which one my teammates went with. This was content, so I just had to follow through with it.
I don't think it's this one, is it?
We were still on track to time the key, so it wasn't a massive problem. We closed out this dungeon with just 3 minutes to spare. After days, even weeks of being declined from 10s, I finally got into one. When I played Demon Hunter, people would beg me to tank a 10. Now, I'm lucky even if I get invited to a 9. It's even worse on my monk, but this episode isn't about him. It's about this warrior and his pain and suffering. Said it once and I'll say it again. Taking your time is always a good option, especially on Ara Kara. Unlike City of Threads, Ara Kara is easy. Plus, our teammates were solid. On the first boss, they actually stacked to me after killing the ads, which I haven't seen in months. I've had people moan at me in this dungeon for standing too close to the spiders with the boss, but that's what you're meant to do. This allows the melee to still hit the boss and quickly switch to the ads when they hatch. The spiders will immediately fixate on the DPS and healer, so as long as you're not stood in a path where the spiders will walk towards the boss, you're completely safe, and you don't need to worry about the boss getting stacks. Ideally, you want to do pulls this size. You can also leave out the Scarabad, that's fine as well. Just make sure you interrupt the volley and for the love of God, use your CC abilities. If you do all these things, you can easily 2-chest a plus 10 with no problems. I will leave the string to my route in the description below.
Shit, man, just banged the key in, bro. No countdown. I know that business.
People instantly putting the keys in is never a good sign. And oh boy was this bad. This mage was just dying to everything. If something happened, you bet your RC was the only one dying. This ended up being a problem when getting to the first boss. The lack of damage and the amount of damage he was taking was stopping us from beating the first boss. My healer also ended up dying to God knows what. We ran it back one more time and well, yeah. It's cool though, let's jump straight into a 10 Dawnbreaker. This was another rough dungeon. On this pull, I just wasn't getting healed the whole time, and I didn't know why. Turns out my healer decided to go on a little adventure and I didn't realise So I just didn't press any of my oh shit I'm dying buttons.
Alright, I was just not... Alright, my healer's not here.
But even when he was there, it felt like I wasn't even getting healed. Somehow he even managed to let himself die, and then I soon followed.
Alright, this healer's fucking rubbish.
I was kinda over this dungeon at this point. The ads were in Mania, I didn't notice, but even when I went to pick them up, the ball came in and ran over my healer, which led to us all dying. We ran it back again, but once it got to the overlap, it was GG. I've never played this priest, so I have no idea if it's actually good, but apparently it's an S tier healer. We tried it just one more time, but it was over before it even started. I had no more gold to repair, so the dungeon was over. We upgraded our gear a bit and managed to scrape a few gold to repair our gear, but we're still flat broke going into a 10 siege of Brightless. Hopefully we don't die too much. Spoiler alert, we did. Well, I didn't, but my DPS sure did. The first wipe, the DPS was typing instead of focusing on the game. So they got hit by the swirls. They got a quick battle res, but it didn't matter because they all got hit by the same swirl straight after. The third boss also took a while to kill. Our paladin decided to take the scenic route when the wave came in, which didn't work out. We also wiped again on the final boss because we left the healer to do the cannon, which didn't work out too great. I don't know if he struggled to get out of the cannon or what, but he died and we wasn't in range for a battle res, so we just ended up wiping. And sadly, we didn't have enough time to finish the key, even though we really should have. The long run back after Lockwood, plus all the other random deaths throughout the dungeon, made it so we just missed the key by a few seconds. We got no loot, but at least we got enough money for another repair.
Nice.
How do you think we wiped here? Our healer was struggling big time. He dropped on the first unavoidable AoE. We got him right back up, but instead of healing himself, he showed us his best impersonation of a cardboard cutout. We tried it once more, but I guess it was just too much for him. He also didn't know the dispel, so I told him about that too. There's a link to the WeCUFEQ in the description. Turns out, he was a DPS main trying healer for the first time. He wanted to make up for the broken key, so we ran our 7 Dawnbreaker. We 2-chested it, but I bet you're thinking, where is your other DPS? Well, he failed this wave and the next minute he left the party. I didn't know if he was trolling or if the leader kicked him. Either way, we got no IO or loot, so this dungeon was a waste of time. 10 Necrotic Wake. Despite all the struggles, Warrior has been really easy. I never feel like I'm in danger. Even when overpulling, the damage numbers are also crazy. Though there are occasional moments where I have nothing to press, either because it's on cooldown or the lack of rage. We finally had a 100% success rate of people dodging the frontal, so you already know this dungeon was going to go smooth. We didn't have a DK for the ad phase on the second boss, but we got super lucky with the spawn points, so gaining threat and using discharge anima to stop the cast made this first phase of the ads a breeze. We wasn't so lucky with the second set of ads, but we had a game plan. Using Disruptive Shout to stop the first volley and then jump into the next mage to interrupt the second volley. Then just bringing them all together so we can cleave down the boss and the ads together. Stitch Flesh was also easy. Our teammates did good damage, so it was over pretty fast. We ended up 2-chesting the 10 Necrotic Wake. We got no loot again, but we got a bit more gold to help us with our repairs. Thanks for watching. If you like the content, subscribe. If you made it this far, we already know you like the content, so subscribe anyway. Like, comment, all of that good stuff. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.